And we are live on the SideQuest, your weekly journey into the wonderful world of video games, video game culture. Let me adjust this. We are rocking. Sorry, that arm was in the way there. I've got my little computer set up a little bit differently today. Welcome. It is Sunday, February 22nd. Do I have some? I don't have it plugged in. Give me a second. I'm wondering why stuff isn't plugged in. And now I will plug it in. And bam. There we go. Everything is plugged in now. Wow. Okay. Whew. Welcome, everybody, to the SideQuest, your weekly journey into the wonderful world of games, game culture, geeks, fun stuff. It is your host, Dolly Demovsky. I don't know if anybody's be joining me today. Guess what? Oh, well, don't need them. Actually, I do need them. They're all wonderful people. February 22nd, the last day of the Olympics. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. I know it's like midwinter break. It's finishing up for a lot of folks. We were just in Florida. We'll get into a lot of the gaming news that's happened, and it's been a crazy week. Did want to start by saying thank you very much to our wonderful Patreon friends. Y'all are terrific. Things have gotten expensive, so it is. It's always helpful. Again, you don't need to join the Patreon. It is just something that we have to help us in the back end. If there were 0 people on the Patreon, we'd make it work. We'd figure it out. But Patreon members do get some cool stuff. The executive level, of which we have one right now, is Punkdefied, Punkdefied. Wonderful person. A lot of great concert photos. Just a joy to hang out with. Hung out with him in person several times. Been his roomie at least once at different events. Good, wonderful, jolly person. But definitely thank you to him for being the executive. He's going to get a new shirt. I'm secretly talking. The second shirt is coming in, so that'll be a lot of fun. Thank you also to our producer level Patreon members: Zero the Prototype, Exogenous, Jeff Grubb, and Tessa Eller. Thank you for helping the wheels stay oiled. And yeah, hey Zero, good to see our good friend Zero. And Exogenous, just a wonderful friends of mine who I definitely need to get together with soon, now that I am just about done with my self-inflicted monetary savings spree. Oh, yours didn't come in the mail? Oh, that's right. The new stickies are going out very soon. So be ready. The stickies for 2026, the little drawings. Look what I got. I got a sticky note pad here. They're going to head out. So yeah, that's what you get. Check out the Patreon. You'll find out what's on that good stuff there. March is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to PAX East. A bunch of us are. And for those that probably know already, don't know, who knows, whatever. But we have our giant annual PAX East party list. You could see the ultimate PAX East party list. Yes, we are the original. We're the magical party list. We get everything together. There's stuff happening every single day during PAX week in Boston. Be ready for Thursday, March 26th, because the SideQuest will be back. Details may go up Monday or Tuesday of this week. So look forward to that. We have that's some good stuff there. We have our PAX panels, which is going to be great. Get ready for the panel, which will take place on, I believe, Thursday at 4:30. Our 7 out of 10 panel, the 6th year in a row that we're doing this panel. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, going to have some giveaways. If you've seen me review stuff here at SideQuesting, like very expensive Gunner glasses, those are going to be given away. We've got plushes. We got some bunch of, we got games that we're going to give out. So it'll be a lot of fun. Maybe even some pins. And we got our second zine we're going to be giving out. So get ready. We have the zine starting to put together. the I guess the Q1 zine. We try to do 4 zines a year if we can, 3 to 4 zines a year if we can. So this is going to be a good one. We have the theme already. Just got to fill it up with content. But yeah, hey, that's neither here nor there because it's been a crazy news week. So I was off in, I got my hands over here. I was off in Florida from, I think, Tuesday to Saturday morning. Thinking it was going to be a very light week. You know, I was going to watch the Olympics, watch my USA hockey team do well, and they definitely did. And lo and behold, you know, stuff started happening here. Let me adjust this. Stuff started happening, and it all kind of broke down. I think it was it Friday that we got the big news that boy, there was a shakeup at Xbox, and while we maybe or didn't maybe or whatever saw something like this coming, I don't think to this extent, but essentially reported first by IGN and then picked up everywhere else. Phil Spencer is retiring. Sarah Bond is out. Matt Booty has been promoted, essentially out of Xbox, it seems like it. And Microsoft AI exec Asha Sharma is the new Xbox boss. Let me thank you to our friends at IGN. Bam. Our friends at IGN for reporting the news here. And then since then, there has been all kinds of news breaking out. But essentially, if you think this is a mutual retirement by Phil Spencer, you're probably wrong because, boy, stuff doesn't just happen immediately when you retire. Like, you will give, for a big position like Spencer's, you're going to give some time. People are going to know. And yeah, you're gonna give time for folks to adjust, to start making those connections. Anytime there's new leadership on the board, it's like weeks, if not months ahead of time to make those changes. Yeah, but everything is now Xbox. That's true. Phil Spencer is still technically an Xbox, right? But yeah, it's just a wild time. Not only that, Sarah Bond, who many of us thought was the heir apparent, she was the kind of person that really seemed to love and have a like good leadership qualities and have sort of a passion for the Xbox brand and Xbox products. Ooh, I got an itchy back here. I'm using my pen to scratch my back. This is what old men do. Yeah, you bought things. Sorry, Exaggeramoose, you bought stuff. But yeah, we thought she was going to be next in line after Phil, eventually, whenever Phil was going to leave. But she's out. And it's wild because that day, like an hour before the news broke, she was out there posting, hey, you know, Xbox has, you know, we've got all these great things coming. Stay tuned. Like did this LinkedIn post. And then, yeah, an hour later, she's out. So just a wild how everything seems to have happened so freaking quickly. And it's not healthy, especially considering the state that Xbox is in right now with, you know, their console sales are down. And I know the new Xbox head, Asha Sharma, she mentioned, you know, we're going to start with the console and we're going to do this and do that. But apparently had not had an Xbox Live account until like 2 weeks ago. Had never really played a video game before recently. And so there's not a lot of, you can say all the nice things you want in a letter, but you've got to back it up. You've got to have the, you know, you got to have that history. It just doesn't seem like there's any history with Sharma here. But yeah, Sarah Bond was the one that we thought either her or Matt Booty would be the ones that would take over Xbox. I mean, we thought maybe Phil's time, and there is constant churn, right? You're only going to be at the head of something for so long. It is very difficult unless you're at Nintendo, when you stay there until you pass. Unfortunately, Nintendo Japan, Nintendo of America, even Doug Bowser gave his notice like a month ahead of time, right? So we all knew that was coming. and now they have a new leadership over there, Nintendo of America. But we knew that was coming. We could plan for it. The rest of the industry could plan for it. Nobody could plan for this. With it, by the way, that's an incredible stopped image of a screenshot of Damon Hatfield, good dude, just freaking out in that video. Yeah, it's kind of I mean, shocking is like the least thing we could say, right? I don't think anybody saw this happening in the way it did, but it certainly doesn't instill confidence in Xbox. Again, I thought Phil probably, in my opinion, was going to make it through this next Xbox launch and then call it soon after that, right? I figured, Phil had been around since the 360 days, and at least it's sort of like forefront of Xbox 360, Xbox One days. And really, we figured that he was going to be, you have 2-3 consoles under your belt, and you're probably done after that. And we thought, he had served his purpose at Xbox. He sort of orchestrated a lot of the stuff that happened with these mergers and acquisitions, and so I think that was something that was good and bad in a lot of ways. And then I think the Game Pass in general seemed to be something that just didn't the latest issues with Game Pass and the price hikes and the multiple tiers and just the confusion around Game Pass, I think, has been something that that really has, I guess, was maybe the nail in the coffin there. I mean, obviously just the poor performance of Xbox, especially this latest quarter, based on their results, were really bad for the division. But it has been sort of a downward trend, definitely in public sentiment. But now the money is starting to show up there as well, and that's never a good sign for a leader. So yeah, a few of us thought maybe he would be hanging around until the end of this year, beginning of next year, get this next Xbox out. But now we don't even know if that's going to be happening this year. We don't know what the plan is for consoles. Obviously, with the cost of chips going through the roof and RAM going through the roof, nothing is safe right now from a pricing standpoint. So maybe it was the right time to make a big change. But it really did, like, the overall, the kind of overarching sentiment from everybody was this rest in peace Xbox sentiment. Like, just through the social media all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, you see these articles, not only from like journalists and blogs, but you're seeing like some hardcore Xbox fans on, yeah, Doritos are expensive now, trust me. Hardcore Xbox fans that do streams and things like that are also saying, it kind of feels like it's over. But yeah, it is. It's not a great time, I guess, to be around the Xbox circle. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I don't foresee anything great. They have a lot of games supposedly coming out this year, but yeah, I don't know what we can expect. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? Feel free to let me know, because I'm kind of dumbfounded by how quick the bottom dropped out. So there has been other news, speaking of the bottom dropping out of stuff, and that was we had another wild bit of news, and that was, I think this actually happened earlier in the day, if I remember correctly, and that was that Blue Point Games, the developer of God of War Ragnarok, they're the ones that remade Demon Souls and a bunch of other games, and they were supposedly in the mix for the online God of War-ish game, have been shut down. They're out. And this goes to, you look at the other aspects of Sony. They just sold off their ownership of Evo to the public investment fund over from the Saudi government, I believe. And they spun off and sold off and closed a lot of their live service stuff, which was former president, CEO, whatever, Jim Ryan's big push, right? He wanted this live service trend. He was chasing that trend, which was already like 4 years too late. Even in 2020, 2021, it's already years too late. So there was this big, you kind of circle back to this craziness. There was the big arms race, the mergers and acquisition events that happened from like 21 and 20 to 22, somewhere in that time frame. Maybe not as much in 23, but like 21, 22, maybe even 2020 to there, where Microsoft and Sony were just, if Microsoft bought someone, Sony bought someone. If Sony bought someone, Microsoft bought someone. If EA bought someone, so and so. It was just, we're gonna buy up everybody. We're gonna merge. We're gonna acquire. That's what that means, right? We're gonna make our business big because we're booming right now, and everybody's at home, and we're all captivated audiences, and it's just it's all falling apart now. Live service games are impossible. We just saw it with High Guard. I was gonna have that news go through, but the developers there, like 70 to 80% of the staff, whatever, has been let go at that development house on High Guard, which lasted a month to the day after release. High Guard was done. It's still supposedly going. Who knows? Was it a month? It may not even been a month. I think it was like 2 weeks. Anyways, it's just insanity that businesses are getting away with doing this stuff, and now we're seeing the fallout here as well. We're seeing all these layoffs. We're seeing studios getting shut down. It's happening, as at big companies, and it ripples out to small companies, and indies are facing it as well. And we're going through the big shakeup right now. The industry is changing. It's going to be highly unpredictable and volatile, especially with the cost of stuff happening, to affect stuff. People are going to be potentially holding on to their platforms of choice for a lot longer now. The laptop, the PC that you own is probably going to be the one you're gaming on for the next 3, 4, 5 years until prices hopefully come down, or we start making enough money where it doesn't matter. I don't know. But yeah, it's not been a good time in the gaming industry from a business standpoint. So yeah, it's just wacky times. There is one little bit of good news, one little bit of hype news, I guess you could say, and that is, I think you guys have heard of Pokemon, right? Well, guess what? The original Pokemon games, the remakes of the original Pokemon games, Fire Red and Leaf Green, are officially coming to Switch this week, or this Friday, right after right after a direct, a Pokemon Presents that the Pokemon company's having. So you're having a Pokemon Presents taking place, and you're going to have Fire Red and Leaf Green available for purchase. So these are those OG Game Boy Advance games. They're going to be, I think, $20 each. With obviously, I think they've got some built-in capabilities that they've upgraded, like co-op and things like that are local now with the Switch. But they also have the assumption is that now you're going to be able to maybe utilize Pokemon Home if they've got that built in. There were some issues with putting Pokemon games on Switch Online where you're actually collecting Pokemon, because with stuff like save states and rewind, you can that would be a nightmare for Nintendo to track owners of this game and wanting to transfer the Pokemon here into other games. So I kind of get it from the standpoint of, hey, it was just going to be really difficult to put it on NSO, but also they know folks are just going to spend the $20 and buy their preferred version. Will I buy it? Probably not. I played Pokemon Let's Go, and that was enough for me to get back into the Kanto region. But I'm sure there are some fans out there that just cannot wait. They're the OG Pokemon fans. They want to hop back into these updated originals and go from there. So, but I do feel like that Presents is going to be a big one. So it's the 30th anniversary, right? It's happening Friday at like 9 a.m. Eastern time, 6 a.m. Pacific. And yeah, I'm I'm confident we're gonna get the Gen 10 reveal. I'm confident we're gonna get the date, at least the launch reveal of Pokemon Champions, which is their sort of the multiplayer only focused game. The battle arena game. Um, yes, so many big anniversaries this year. Exactly, Seance, like way too many. That I mean, Castlevania. We find, I forgot Castlevania was having an having an anniversary, but it is, thankfully. Um, but it's uh, I'm actually a little more hyped because just those two games I think are enough for me to be pretty excited. Gen 10 and Pokemon Champions, but you're also going to get like Pokemon Legends stuff. You'll get some stuff for the mobile games, which they kind of have to do all the time, anyways. Okay, here's these updates for here. You're going to have Pokemon Go. This is actually the 10th anniversary of Pokemon Go, believe it or not. So I'm sure there's going to be some big stuff happening around there. They're going to talk about Pokopia, which has gotten rave like previews. So I'm sure there'll be some stuff there. I mean, Pokemon has a pretty healthy year ahead when you think about all the stuff that has been announced, and the stuff that could potentially be announced. And I actually feel like we're going to get probably get another Pokemon mobile like free to play app coming in. That it kind of feels right. Like you had the cafe mix thing. You have like the those the Pokemon Unite was great. I mean, that continues to be huge, but I think you're going to get maybe one more mobile app. And I'd love to see, one other thing I'd love to see is just a Pokemon a spin-off game like those um the mystery dungeons. Those are always a lot of fun. So let's get another mystery dungeon game. But yeah, Gen 10, you don't need to do a ton, but I feel like people think they will. They have been sort of announcing Pokemon stuff over the last like month and a half, like really since the beginning of the year, right? They have the Lego, they did the big the anniversary video during the Super Bowl. They have like I said, Fire Red and Leaf Green. Like these things could have been in this Pokemon Presents, but they've been sort of chipping away. So I think they want the Presents to kind of focus on just a couple things here and there. But they may also drop news that they're making a Pokemon movie. I think Pokemon movie, it's time, like not a Detective Pikachu thing, like an actual big Hollywood Pokemon movie that could be coming, or some big partnership like that. I mean, um I think there's capabilities for something like that. I mean, there's plenty of Pokemon shows across Netflix, like variations of those, right? There's animated, there's stop motion, there's claymation, there's CGI stuff. So I think another movie is probably in the pipeline. We may hear something about that here. Who knows? But yeah, that should be pretty fun. Should be pretty exciting. I think we're all hoping. Again, keep our always keep like the expectations real low. The ladder should be so low that you can trip over it, the expectations, because they have already kind of announced a bunch of things. But what, there could be some one or two bigger surprises. So it's always kind of a fun thing. But yeah, their last Pokemon Presents, I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it directly. I had it on in the background, then I kind of turned later and returned to it, and it was really bad and boring. So I'm expecting this to pick up the pace there. So yeah, but that is the news. Kind of a few hit things. Yeah, definitely been a fun and weird week. Big anniversaries. I know you've been mentioning. Like I am, I'm bummed that like the Zelda anniversary was really, is it to yesterday in the around the world, so the 21st. And Zelda was like the first game that really was something that wowed me as a kid, right? Like I couldn't believe what the original Legend of Zelda did in video games. I was so used to just side scrolling games. We all knew side scrolling games. Anything like overhead was like asteroids or Space Invaders, that kind of stuff. But Zelda did something where you're exploring. It was a big open world and there were secrets, and it was the original playground game. Like when I was let's see, 86. I was like 7. I was young when it first came out in elementary school. I remember going on the playground and all of us like sharing these hand-drawn maps and talking about, how to get through the haunted forest, the mystery forest, whatever it was called back then. I forget all the time. How to find the master sword, how to, which walls you had to blow up with the bombs just around the world. And we would get together because that was also one of the first games where you would save to the actual cartridge. We would take our cartridges with us to friends' houses, or friends would bring their cartridges over and we would just watch them, or they would watch us. There you go. It's Zero installing 3 different versions of Majora on his Steam Deck. Love it, love it, love it. We'd watch each other play this game and like scribble notes and try to remember where certain things were that this person was showing and just be in awe. And you could watch people play Zelda back then, the same section of Zelda over and over and over again, because it was so new and so fresh. And I think right now that is in Twitch. That's what YouTube, it's what streaming is all about. You'll watch people play the games that you've already played. But that was like the original Twitch, was bringing your Zelda cart to somebody else's house and watching them play the same sections over and over again. It was just a magical time. Wait, I mean, my favorite Zelda game is probably Link to the Past. I think that was everybody says, your favorite Zelda is probably the one that when you turned 13. And I think I was like, Link to the Past was right around that time for me. So that game was just freaking wonderful. I mean, that was cinema. That was the quote unquote cinema. I mean, the way it was written, the music, that was the first time that I felt like I was watching a movie unfold and not playing a video game. Like, there was so much to do in that game and so many secrets. And it took everything I'd loved about the original Zelda 1 and like ratcheted it up. So I Link to the Past. And I think, gosh, probably Tears of the Kingdom is maybe my second one. It's right there. It's 1 and 1A with Breath of the Wild, I think, because those are they're so similar. And yet Tears of the Kingdom is like definitely a Breath of the Wild plus 0.5, like 1.5 Breath of the Wilds in size, scope, and scale. And I loved, like, what I absolutely freaking loved about Tears of the Kingdom. I didn't get this with Breath of the Wild. Was I talked about this in the past? They made me feel as if if I didn't go to one of the towns, or if I didn't run across somebody who needed help. Like, there's a whole big aspect of this game where people need your help, not you specifically, not Link specifically, but anybody to come and help them. Whether there's a dude putting up the signposts, or there are folks in towns, or there are the roving bands that are defeating, the enemies and stuff. It made me feel as if I wasn't playing the game, if I took any extended time away from Hyrule, that I was failing the denizens of Hyrule. Like, they're all living their own lives, but there was just this amazing need. Like, they needed help, and when I'm not there, I'm failing them. And it's just written so well from that standpoint that it really made me feel like I was there for a job. I had a very specific job to do, not just save the planet or save Hyrule. But yeah, it was just a wonderful, wonderful game. I didn't get that with Breath of the Wild. I think Breath of the Wild is a lot more concise of a game. And Tears of the Kingdom is much more open, and I love the openness of Tears of the Kingdom. So yeah, it's like 1 and 1A with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and I'll be hopping back and forth on those two over the years. But right now, it's probably Link to the Past and Tears of the Kingdom, and then Breath of the Wild, and then Link Between Worlds is up there too, because that game is just so freaking wonderful. And then even Echoes of Wisdom? Is that what it was? The latest one with Princess Zelda. That game was actually a lot of fun, and there's a lot of cool stuff in that one too. So, yeah, lots of cool Zelda. So maybe we'll do a Zelda retrospective. We did one. Gosh, I want to say it was like 15 years ago on SideQuesting. We did a Zelda retrospective episode, and it was 4 hours long. I can't find it. I don't think the episode even exists anymore. If I somehow find it, I'll re-upload it. I think Jonah Gregory was on there. Maybe JJ was on there, like one of his first stints at SideQuesting. I'm not sure. There was a few folks, but yeah. Zelda, good times. Now let's get in real quick on some of the stuff that we've been playing. Oh yeah, Breath of the Wild. Yeah, see there, I would love a merged release. By the way, playing them on Switch 2 is mind blowing. Some dust in here. Is mind blowing at just the little adjustments they made visually. Like these are the games that they should have been. Um, Breath of the Wild. Remember that was a Wii U game that was essentially ported to the Switch, so it was still a Wii U game. Tears of the Kingdom was what if they made Breath of the Wild for the Switch? But then now both of those games have been upgraded to the Switch 2 and they look phenomenal. Both of them look terrific, which makes me so excited for whatever the first real Zelda game is going to be for Switch 2. So, by the way, the latest Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment is supposedly very good. It looks great. I'm going to pick that up. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's get into a couple things we've been playing. And one thing, I have one review, and then I have one thing that I've gone back to. So I'll start with the thing that I've gone back to let me take it back. I'm gonna end with the thing I really like. I'm gonna start with something that maybe I didn't quite love. Okay. Y'all know that I love racing games. You know that I am all about like arcade stuff. The simulation racing games are great, but they can be, if they're leading in too much into simulation, it makes it difficult for someone who doesn't have the time to be able to put in to really get everything out of it. That's why I tend to like more of the arcade-ish racing games like the Forza Horizons, like the Need for Speeds and things like that. They're still racing. You still have to know how to make the move sets. And I still love Forza Motorsport. I still love Gran Turismo just as much. But those games I think are easier for me as well. So anytime there's an arcade racing game available, I do like to check it out. And a new one was sent our way for the Switch 2. It's for the Switch and Switch 2. And the game is called 4PGP. And 4PGP essentially is, let me get this out of here. 4PGP essentially is if like virtua racing, sort of, it kind of draws a lot of inspiration from that era of racing games. It is a I think it's 8 races in a track, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on it. Up to 4 players. I think that's why it's 4PGP. But it is essentially, racers on a track. You're sort of F1-ish cars on a track, open wheel racing, and it's arcade style. So it handles really well. I'll kind of start with there. It visually, it carries that kind of classic look. It actually has a really nice sort of I don't want to call it upbeat, but a modern nostalgic visual style to it. So that's just this friendliness and the aesthetic. It's not meant to be super realistic, but it's not meant to be like overly arcade style. It really just wants to look really good and look really accessible and look really fun, because you're going to get, they want people to play this game with others, right? So there is a single player mode, but they want you to play multiplayer. But here's where things get wacky. There is no online multiplayer. It's just local multiplayer. So you could play this game in a single player mode, which kind of gets you through all 12 tracks. And there's a couple extra you can unlock. You can select which cars you want, and every car has some different values to it, depending on acceleration, speed, handling, braking, things like that. Much like other racing games, it just shows like little bars and tells you what the differences are in these. As you kind of clear the races in the Grand Prix, you can unlock more cars, and each car gets consistently better than the previous one. So it's not like, one car is going to be a handling class, one car is more going to be acceleration. It really feels like they just always progressively tick better the more you open. So For me, it was a little bit off-putting from that standpoint from two reasons. One, there's no customization of these cars. They all really kind of look the same except for some different colorways they're doing. Like there'll be the car that's blue is now the red car, and the red car is got faster speed and faster acceleration and better handling. That's it. Like everything just gets better. So why would you want to, I guess, hamstring yourself? Is that maybe it's, I don't know. Why would you want to handicap yourself with some of the early cars when you should be focusing and just playing with the cars you've just unlocked? They're always gonna be the more powerful. So it feels like an almost like a needless unlock system for these cars, right? Uh, the tracks are fine. They're kind of based sort of on real tracks, but they're not real tracks. Um, they're kind of based around, like, there's a track called Italy, there's Japan, there's whatever. So um, you're you're racing on tracks that you think are supposed to be specific tracks, but they're not quite, and that's fine. I don't need to know which one's the Nürburgring. I don't need to know which one's whatever. But it beyond that, there's like nothing else to this game. Like it really is just racing. It's like, hey, you can try to get better track times. You can make your way up the leaderboards, but you can't race online. And multiplayer is only local multiplayer, or game share, I should say. Game share is kind of cool, because again, you only need one one cart or one copy of the game to play with others locally. And then you can also play, it'll kind of show here with the chat, you'll be able to play online as well. That's the only, really the only way to play online is for that reason. And it's like, it's very bare bones, and it's, we don't talk about money, like the cost of something here for games, for purchase. It doesn't go into it, but this is $25 for the Switch 2 version, $20 for the Switch 1 version. $20 is still a lot of money for something that's very bare bones. Again, handles really well. It actually has a nice little boost feature so that when you're driving, if you kind of find yourself behind, which you will, you'll find yourself behind almost instantly. You can at least boost and zip up like on a straightaway. And then there's the pit lanes allow you to sort of regenerate the boost. But it does slow you down quite a bit when you're regenerating. So there is a little bit of a plus and minus to that, but it's just racing laps over and over again, and that's it. And it's very bare bones, and I don't think that there's enough meat on these tires on this frame to really set it apart from anything else that's already out there. If you really want that kind of classic arcade experience, then I guess, but it's 2026 now, and we sort of demand a little more from our games. Whether it doesn't need to just be unlocks. It could be events. It could be longer career modes. It could be something. But this doesn't really have any of that. It really just kind of focuses on honing the racing experience, and it does that well. But there's nothing outside of that. So I can't really recommend this game unless you really, really, really want to just race. Just hop on a track and start racing, because there isn't much beyond that. So yeah, 4PGP on the Switch and Switch 2 right now. Yeah, I mean, again, good-ish racing, but not much more than that. And I want to get into one last thing. So yeah, there you go. You need Juice to check it out. I'll get to get a wheel to check it out. So I'm glad Zero is in the chat right now, because he has been posting about something recently. I know I've been posting. JJ's been posting. JJ and I both got this thing in the mail, and that is, we bought the Virtual Boy, this beautiful Nintendo's forgotten platform. Well, it's no longer forgotten. Now the Wii U is the forgotten platform, but this device, the Virtual Boy Switch and Switch 2 adapter, is an incredible. I'm going to put her here. Let's do this. An incredible piece of kit, because yes, you can play Virtual Boy games. You can emulate them. You could play them in 3D with the VR headset. You can play them on the 3DS in 3D. Cool. And that's fine. You're emulating a game, but the magic of the Virtual Boy and the reason that Nintendo abandoned this was the Virtual Boy experience. It was I'm sitting on my desk. People can see me do this experience. It is the experience of everything is red and I'm locked in and I'm holding a controller and living through this in a very specific way experience. Now, again, yes, you can play these games in VR. You can play these games in 3D already, and sure, go ahead, but you're not playing these games as they were intended. They really were intended for you to sit with this abomination on your tabletop, hold the controllers down here somewhere, and stick your face in it and be deathly still and play. And it's not comfortable. And there's a reason that this sucker failed. It was for what I'm showing right now. But this was the intent. And so when I talk to folks, I'll get into the actual quality of games afterwards. When I talk to folks about the Virtual Boy, and the very first thing is I've had this on my, I hacked my Steam headset, or I've playing it. It's like, that's cool, but you haven't actually been playing the game as it was intended. You've been playing a facsimile of the game. Now, granted, if it's a 2D game like a Mario, you can play Mario on everything. Mario, I mean, emulators are allowed on the iPhone right now. I have Mario 1 on the iPhone because it's a 2D game that can function on everything 2D. It was intended that way. And I keep a little controller with me at my desk at work, and bam, I'm emulating Mario. This is 3D, and it's meant to have 3D. It's meant to function with mirrors. It's meant to, by the way, the tech, and I don't think it was Zero or somebody else posted it, the tech that it was that made this device function the way it did, with like millions of frames per second that it needed to function to show how a Virtual Boy headset was actually functioning. That is amazing to me. The games were designed for that feature. So yeah, again, put the games on whatever you want, but you're not playing you're no longer playing a Virtual Boy game. You're just playing a facsimile of a game that's, it's an AI generative version of a Virtual Boy game. It is somebody quickly trying to take a picture of a painting version of a Virtual Boy game. It's the game, but it's not the game. Part of the experience was what this was. And so otherwise, guess what? Otherwise, they would just make Virtual Boy games playable on the big screen. And you can't right now. Nintendo specifically said, sorry, you can only play them with this thing strapped to your head, because this is how we want you to play it. Now, will they later on? Maybe. I mean, they want to sell these things. And I will say this is actually great future-proofing for Nintendo. Doesn't require the chips, just requires a Switch or a Switch 2. These things retail for $100 a piece. Nintendo could sell these in stores. Right now, they're not. Right now, it's only on Nintendo Switch Online. But I could see them at some point. They did this with some of their other devices. The alarm clock, right? Alarmo. I could see Nintendo selling this in stores and saying, hey, you need Nintendo Switch Online. You can use either a Switch or a Switch 2. There's no chipset in this. It really is just a couple of colorful lenses there. By the way, it is interesting that Nintendo later will allow different colors for the screens. And I wondered how that was going to work, right? Because they said, yeah, later on we're going to have, it's not just going to be red, it's going to be, you're going to be able to do other colors. You're going to be able to do green or whatever. So I'm curious, does that mean that we're going to be able to pop out these lenses? Are they going to sell different like plates to allow us to get different colors? Because right now these lenses are red. These lenses are essentially what make the color of the games what they are, because the games are presented in black and white, and the red strictly comes from these lenses. So At least from what I was checking. I was taking like the snapshot. I was lifting the Switch 2 out of the case and dropping it in there. It looked like it was just black and white. So, um, anywho, yeah, that's my rant about what the Virtual Boy is. Game quality wise, holy shit, these are fun games. Like the launch titles they have, the 7 launch titles are actually pretty good. The Tetris game is great. It's just virtual 3D Tetris. The Wario Land the Wario Land game is terrific. Like it's legit a fantastic game. And I'm excited. I remember playing these games when they first launched back in 90, was it 96? No, 90, 94, somewhere around there. Yeah, I think it was like 94, 95, somewhere around there. I have one of these guys, the original OG Virtual Boy with a couple games left. I think I have baseball and I have Mario Tennis. That Mario Tennis game, by the way, is great. Baseball game was not good, but I bought it because I was hoping they would actually get baseball, and it's just a bad facsimile of baseball. I like saying facsimile a lot. But yeah, this is a cool device. I'm actually very glad Nintendo came out with this sucker. I'm also very interested to see how many companies out there are going to just sell these red things now. Like I'm sure since Nintendo's able to do it with the cardboard box, right? I'm sure there are companies that are quickly making bootleg versions of these things, and I would do that if you could get one of those things, because you'll be able to. Yeah, when are they going to make a new Super Scope? I don't know. They haven't made any shooting games since the Wii, and they really should. But yeah, it's just cool, man. This is like it's actually nice materials. Like they did a good job designing, like designing this thing with sort of modern-ish versions of like the slider is fake on top. Like this was meant to adjust stuff. This was meant to adjust stuff in the old days, the IPD. Like none of these things actually work. You do that all through tech now, through in-game menus. This really is just a holder with the lenses up front. So yeah, I've probably put about 2 hours into it so far, and I've liked the games I played. Again, the issue with Virtual Boy games is that they weren't long games, and Nintendo, I think, made it that way so that kids wouldn't get their eyes strained because they didn't know what this was going to do to kids' faces and eyes and stuff. But and you do get the ring around, your eyes if you're in this for too long. Around here on your nose. But so yeah, the games aren't that super long and super deep. But I will say again, Wario Land is terrific. The Tetris game is terrific, and I could see myself going back to these often, just as a gimmick. Like I'm gonna have this guy sitting around with my OG Switch when my buddies come over, because I'm sure someone will want to play one of the games that are on this. It's a nice, for those of us that have already upgraded to the Switch 2, this is actually a nice companion to throw our Switch into. Like I got the Breath of the or the Tears of the Kingdom Switch, the Zelda Switch. That would probably be this would be an awesome place to put that Switch, right? Just throw the OLED in there, and I'll have sort of a functioning Virtual Boy. My old one doesn't work very well; it doesn't power on. So that's kind of a neat thing to do to make our original Switches still. Actually, that's great. Now that I think about it, giving life to my old console. This now gives life to that old Switch console. Interesting thoughts. It is alive again. Now, I will say one thing. I'm not a big fan of the UI. You do have to kind of. I found myself lifting the Switch out of this, making all the selections I needed to, and then dropping it back in there. So that wasn't that great. But once you get into that, because you can't access the Virtual Boy NSO app from within this, you have to access it first and then drop the Switch into this guy after you've already accessed the NSO app. I will say one thing that I could see people doing, and some smart entrepreneur out there, game dev, is making games that are fully compatible with this guy. Like, hey, Dave Oshry over at New Blood, make like a version of Dusk that works with this. Somebody should make like a Doom like that functions with this, that gives you a little bit of 3D. Give me Wolfenstein, the old OG Wolfenstein 3D, Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Make it function with something like this. I think that could be kind of badass. Like, you can have a constant pipeline of games that have, there are plenty of games out there that have just a real simple black and white aesthetic that you could turn into Virtual Boy, have like a switch that turns it into a Wolfenstein, have a switch that turns it into a Virtual Boy version. Why not? I think that'd be kind of neat. So yeah, game devs, turn this guy Johnny Five over here, turn your game, make it compatible with this. If you have a game out there, 4PGP that I was just playing should be made into a Virtual Boy version. Then all of a sudden, I will be way more interested. Actually, racing games would be pretty sick with this thing too. So, anyways, that's that's the Virtual Boy adapter. I like it. Is it worth $100? I don't know. I of course I own an original Virtual Boy, and I've had one since launch in the 90s, but I think this guy, well, maybe it's the 30th anniversary of the Virtual Boy as well. No, 32nd. Okay, 32nd, 31st, whatever. But if you could turn this into an actual functional Virtual Boy console with the Switch, and you can now start using your OG Switch instead of packing it away and trading it into GameStop. Actually utilize your Switch, plug it in this guy, and keep it on your desk or something. So yeah, hey, that's it. That's what I got. It's Sunday night. As I said, the U.S. won the hockey. That was a lot of fun. Olympics are now over. I think they're kind of replaying the ceremonies right now. But that's that. It's going to be a fun week with the Pokemon stuff. I think there's some other news that's going to be breaking early to mid part of the week that I've been hearing some buzz about. So be ready for that. And one last thing, we are kicking up a new feature. Oh, this is fun. This is a good one. Kicking up a new feature on SideQuesting where, they have those. We played Yap Yap. We've played Peak. We've played games like that in the past. In fact, you can watch the Yap Yap review. The playthrough is up there, but don't bother watching the playthrough because it's me just like coughing and clearing my throat. I have a medical condition, clearing my throat too much, and you couldn't hear anybody else because of the way I had the audio set up. But we're starting a new feature. Those games are typically called Friend Slop. We're starting Friend Shop, which is a play on Friend Slop and Friendship, because we're going to be reviewing these sort of multiplayer, social-focused games that are just meant to get people together to talk and be monsters to each other. And if it wasn't for playing Peak with Zero a few weeks back, I never would have been into this genre. So Zero helped kind of coordinate the game night for the Patreon members, and that was a blast. And for Peak, and then I think Yap Yap is another one that we might start incorporating as a regular part of our game night. And now the one we're going to be playing coming up this week, at some point this week, is called Super Battle Golf. So we're excited for Super Battle Golf. I don't know anything about it except I watched a trailer and it looked kind of funky. But Sam was the one that said, "Hey, we got to get some codes for this so we can play it, and you can use it to officially kick off Friend Shop." So yeah, get ready for that this week. If we like it, then we'll definitely try to get that into the game night rotation as well. With that said, sidequesting.com, SideQuesting TV on YouTube and Twitch, sidequesting.com on Blue Sky. Hop into the Discord. We like to hang out there. Absolutely do not upload your ID anywhere. Nope. If they ask for it, just don't. We're never going to ask you for it. I'm trying to make the Discord as safe as possible. We don't want anything like that happening, where people don't feel safe. So do not upload your IDs, please. We're just kind of goofy anyways, so we're never rarely into the over 18 stuff. But yeah, with that, we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you, Zero. Thank you, everybody who joined. Moose. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, everybody who joined and watched and chatted. See you in the next episode of SideQuest. Love ya. Thank you. See you next time. I think that's how we're supposed to do it. Bye.